Welcome to another Ken 7 podcast. Joining me for a special podcast with the King in what we call the Ask Kenny podcast is Sir Kenny Dalgilsh and Paul Dalgilsh, who's actually sat next to me for once. Gents, how's it going?
Good, Gav, no problem.
All right. I don't know why I'm asking you. We've just had a cup of tea together anyway. Ignore that. So we've got a load of questions. We put a thing out on Instagram and Twitter, and the response has been absolutely amazing. So hopefully we'll be able to get through all the questions. So Kenny, we'll start with the first one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. John.
Oh, wait a wee minute. Is the parrot going to chip in?
No, I'm just gonna question everything that you say.
As long as you're no chipping in, that's the main thing.
Kenny, first one from Twitter, John Brabin, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. So, Kenny, was there ever an opportunity for you to come back to Anfield before you came back in a role at the academy? Were you offered the manager's job at any time before 2011?
No, never. 2011 was that after Rafa left. And Roy Hodgson came in?
Yes.
Right, well, no, never offered or asked in any way, shape or form. Rafa and me, Frank McParlin, asked if I would go back in and help a little bit at the academy, but no, just to be there. And it was brilliant, really enjoyed it. And Pep Segura came in, and
Rodolfo
Barell, and Rodolfo is now sitting in Pep Guardiola's lap most of the games for Man City, and they were two really good coaches for the kids, really well organised and very enjoyable.
What was your role there, Kenny? What was day to day? What sort of things did you do?
Just a soundbite, really. Just Frank wanted to have a chat about something, or Pep or Rodolfo wanted to have a chat. You have a chat, you speak to the young lads. It was good. I really enjoyed it.
You'd sometimes speak with the parents as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you speak to the parents. And everything that was connected to the academy, apart from obviously making the decisions who played or who signed or whatever, you were there to be of help, and I really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Okay, Dunk and Kelvin Dale Greaves, which is Rock Monster 999 and Greaves Kelvin. He said, Kenny, when you were playing, which goal for Liverpool gave you the most delight, but one that you didn't score?
I don't know. It'd be one that we won something with anyway. That's the first thing that comes to the back of your mind. I was never obsessed. We hadn't scored. Only if we won did it become important. Alan Kennedy scored, obviously, the winner in Paris in the European Cup final. Well, we quite enjoyed that one. We don't know why he was up there at the time, but he was. And he wrapped it away. So
I bet you gave him some grief afterwards.
He got what?
Did he get some grief afterwards for being up there?
Well, he couldn't explain why he was there. It was only a throw-in up at the edge of the box, and he ran into the box, and Ray Kennedy threw it to him.
There was a goal, you know, the famous phrase, the creator supreme. That was a goal against Derby. Do you remember that? You did a little turn on the halfway line and then played the ball round the defender to Rushy. I mean, would that be the type of goal that you would have took?
Certainly no against Derby. You need to get your game right. It was against Watford.
Was it?
At Anfield, yes.
Okay. I'm not sure about that, because I'm sure
Gavin, at the cop end, right? Rushy left foot drove it past Sherwood and goal for Watford.
Well, would that be the type of goal that you'd have took great delight in, that you felt like you contributed and Rushy had benefited from it?
No, it was the most important thing was the goal meant something.
Right.
If you're getting beat 5-0 and you score, it doesn't matter, does it? Really?
I knew that feeling.
Just a token gesture. Eh?
I knew that feeling.
Yeah. Just a token gesture. The goals have got to be meaningful, and you only really know that afterwards.
Okay. So Neil Baxter, 1971, said, "Who's your favourite footballer of all time, or who was your favourite player growing up?"
As a young boy, my favourite player was Dennis Law, Scottish number 10. He was brilliant. And we never got to see them much. We never get many tickets. There wasn't many games on the telly. But for some reason, he became the one that I jumped on. And there was, I don't know why.
What was it about his game that you loved?
I don't know. Well, you loved him because you could sense he was a character. He used to play with the cuff, his shirt wrapped up in his fingers, his hand, and when he scored, he gave it the one arm salute. And, he was just somebody that you looked at, and also he was one of the, if it wasn't the first, he was one of the first to go to Italy and be a success.
Why? Where did he go in Italy?
Torino,
right?
I think Jimmy Greaves went as well. So I'm sure Dennis went to Torino.
Okay,
but I could be wrong.
Long.
I could even be wrong.
Kenny, next question. The Wilsons and Tony, which is at Tilly Trot, I think on Twitter, said, "Who was the best player that you've ever managed?"
Oh, don't worry about that guy. Don't worry about that.
No, it depends. It depends how you define best. It doesn't necessarily mean to be the best player. People make huge contributions in many ways that the punter doesn't get to see. So I wouldn't like to pick. I wouldn't like to pick one out. And all the places I've been to work, but you get grief off a few players, but fortunately it only was a few, and I didn't really care about the grief anyway. And the most important thing was the rest of the boys. So if somebody had a problem with me, that was their problem, no mine. And most of the players that we worked with were really good, honourable, and you could trust them. And to pick out one, I think would be unfair. When you think of the number of players that you've probably managed, I think it would be really difficult as well to pick out which one you think would be the best. And what's the definition of best?
Yeah. I mean, but you'd been very diplomatic, obviously, there, Kenny. But for you, who would be the best player that your dad's managed?
I tell you who takes some beating. And it is hard to pick one because different generations, different. But you can start with John Barnes for a spell at Liverpool in the 80s was unplayable.
Yeah.
He was arguably one of the best players in the world at that time. He was incredible. And then Shearer for the first few years at Blackburn was phenomenal as well. But then you've got your Robbie Fowlers, you've got that whole Liverpool team of the 80s was incredible. Hansen was the captain of the side. It's hard to pick one, but I think just from me going to games, John Barnes became my hero from the level of performance. But then Beardsley was brilliant. Ian Rush was in that.
Don't forget, your dad managed Luis Suarez and Steven Gerrard as well.
Yeah. Actually, I always think back. I forget you did it twice.
And by the way, I don't think I ever managed Robbie Fowler.
Yeah, Robbie would have been after
other than in a Legends game.
But I tell you what, Suarez, though, to be fair,
Suarez was outstanding,
and Steven.
Yeah,
wow. Steven and Suarez that year before he left. Steven did it consistently over his whole career, and what he's done for the club's incredible. That 1 year from Suarez before he went,
he was
Absolutely sensational.
I remember that season. It was fun going to games because you didn't know what he was going to do next, you know.
But even Salah's done that now consistently for a period of time. But there was something about Suarez that year where I was like, that might be the best ever season I've seen from a Liverpool player. But you went that was Brendan Rodgers that was manager that year before he left.
I don't know. Obviously, you see them. You see what they can do in the pitch, like Stephen, Louis, Alan Shearer. You mentioned the names, and that's the names that come to your mind because they were brilliant, right? They were brilliant. How their ability to play football was fantastic, and their honesty and integrity in the games that they played in were great as well, and the contribution they made to the team. But you look at Lucas Leiva. Lucas, by the way, Lucas was brilliant. Brilliant. And you look what goes on in the dressing room. And you need a really good dressing room to be led by really strong people in there. And they're not always the best players.
Do you think that's why today, Dad, that there's such value on Henderson and Milner at Liverpool and the role that they contribute to your point that it might not always be what we see, but it's what happens on a daily basis?
Well, I wouldn't like to mention names because I'm not in there. But as I say, the dressing rooms I've been in, the ones that have been really, really helpful away from what the people don't see on the pitch are the ones who have been really strong in the dressing room. And you're only as good as your dressing room. The strongest dressing room is normally the ones that gets the most success. And that's the way it was always looked upon from our point of view. And I've always maintained it's all very well and good having a good 11, a great 11. By the way, you need to have real backup behind them as well. And then when they start to play well and the boys that sitting in the bench, they're not going to get a game too often. They're the ones that are fantastic professionals, the ones that hang on in there and the ones that they know they're not going to play, but they're right there beside it and they're really encouraging and helpful. And if they do get a chance, they won't let you down. They get on there and they play.
Brilliant. Next one, Xander, which is Zed Zeppelin on Twitter. Who is the best Scottish player you have played with and why?
This is another one who's going to give us one of them generic answers. Well, I don't want to single anybody out. You know, they've all got different.
It's all about the team, and there's no I in team and all that.
But by the way, generic never played for us. Was generic Scottish?
Gin Eric, his name was.
Oh, Gin and Eric.
So go on.
No, the best Scottish one. Well, I played with Dennis Law. I played with Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, right.
73, 74. We, Jimmy and Dennis were fantastic players. Billy Bremner, fantastic. And you move on up into Souness's territory. He was a beast. He was a great player.
What was Souness like to be on a pitch with when the chips were down? Was he always shouting at you and cajoling you, or was he more encouraging than that?
When we played badly, it was because he was bad.
Right. So he had that much influence on the team?
Aye, he was hugely influential. He went to Sampdoria and Trevor Francis was there at the time as well. And it's no coincidence that they won the cup or something that year. They got some recognition. He was a fantastic leader, but also a great player.
I saw a podcast with him once where he
never mentioned your big mate.
Big Al.
He couldn't get a game for Scotland.
No, it wasn't for Scotland. It was just in
Scottish
terms
player.
of the best Scottish player you ever played with.
By the way, we must have had some good centre-backs if Big Al wasn't playing.
Yeah.
We must have. I think he only get 20 odd caps.
Yeah, he should have had more though, shouldn't he?
Oh, dear me. You'd have thought so.
Bananas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh? The trophies that he won. Unbelievable.
Souness, when he went to Sampdoria, I'd seen him in a podcast saying that he went to Italy and found it really easy.
Well, that's because he could play.
Yeah.
That's because he could play.
Okay, next one, Zubin Deva, which is Zubin Official on Twitter. Which LFC player do you wish you had the chance to play alongside, and why? And that could be any era. You could be going back as far as Liddell or someone in the team now.
I never saw Billy Liddell play. I'd love to have seen him play because he was revered. In fact, he was that good they were calling the team Liverpool.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I never saw him play. I never saw much of the team playing when Shanks came in to really build the football club. And it's a great debt that everybody in the football club that's been at there ever since Shanks has been owe him a huge debt, a gratitude, and a huge thank you, because he's the one that set the club in motion. And if it hadn't been for him, none of us would have been there. I wouldn't. Gavin, it's very difficult if you try to pick somebody out to say this one or that one.
Yeah, I get that.
Who would you rather have? Well, it'd have been brilliant to have seen Stephen play with John Barnes' team.
Yeah, wow.
Right? It'd have been brilliant to see Wee Louie play in that team. I'm not saying anything or anybody that would be left out to get them in, but it's just, you get people who come along, and whatever time that you played your football at and you were successful, you would always be successful. If you came 15 years later, you would be successful.
Well, I think at the time at Liverpool, the player profile of you and the player profile of Ian Rush, it was just a perfect complement. The fact that you like to drop off, he could make the runs in behind. I actually think that, and I'll answer this for you because that's what I do. I actually think that you playing in the same team as Salah would really suit both your strengths. You know, your ability to drop off and then his ability to run in behind. What do you think about that?
Well, I think at 70 years of age, I'm a wee bit old now. Yeah. I've always had somebody to do the running. Rushy, he did it for me when he came in. Delegation, Paul. Somebody said the art of good management is delegation.
Yeah.
Oh, Mo's exceptional, isn't it? I mean, dearie me, he's exceptional. But as I say, the way they play now is different to how we play. It's a different formation, but the same principles. Obviously, fantastically gifted players are going to get a game in most teams. But Liverpool have got a problem. If they try to pick their best team ever or their favourite team ever, geez, the people that you leave out are unbelievable. The quality that you have to leave out is unbelievable. Yeah. So it's difficult to say one or the other. It's like steak or fish, isn't it? Do you prefer steak to fish? Or people have their own taste.
Some people can make that choice, you know. Well, imagine Gerrard in this current team.
Oh,
on the side of the three in the
yeah, of course, yeah. It'd be amazing. There was something I was going to mention to you. There was I heard that Kevin Keegan would, even though you weren't signed as a replacement for Kevin Keegan, and Kevin Keegan wanted to stay, you would have both played at the same time. Do you think your relationship with Kevin Keegan would have been a good one?
It would have been nice to have had a try.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? Obviously, he had a great relationship with Tosh.
Yeah.
And it suited him. Flick on, and he was on to the other end of it. Coming for Celtic, that wasn't. We never had a big guy up front. He played up front, and he just got on with it. They were mostly in the games. They were mostly on the offensive. But to have played with Kevin would have been interesting, yeah. And that's what Bob said. Bob Paisley said that. He said, we would have signed you anyway. I said, I'm no bothered. I said, just sign me.
This is probably a quick one. Colin Jordan, 1203. has asked, who do you think sings "You'll Never Walk Alone" better, Liverpool fans or Celtic fans?
I'll tell you, the best I've ever heard it sing was the first game after Hillsborough. We went to Celtic Park and there was 60,000 there, red and white scarves, green and white scarves above their heads, and it was unbelievable. And I would have thought you need to give them, you need to say it was a tie. But because they're both 100% passionate when they sing it about the game.
I think you're right though. When they do it together, that wasn't great. It was brilliant.
Didn't we go with my dad that game?
Was
that another game? It was European Cup game.
Yeah, that was when McManaman scored.
That's right. Craig Bell, which is Craigie Bell, said, Kenny, on all the foreign trips with Liverpool and Scotland that you went on, which was your favourite place to go? And did you get any time to see any of it, or was it just not possible with the match turnaround?
We weren't very good sightseers. You went to the games, that wasn't for us. They took us to the Acropolis once. No, there was the Colosseum. It must have been the Colosseum in
Rome.
Well, the Colosseum's in Rome, the Acropolis.
The Acropolis is in Athens.
Yeah, I know. So right. When Greece or Italy, it's a big difference.
That's why I was saying that they took us, before we played Panathinaikos, they took us a walk through, like, round the ruin. And one of the boys said, I can't see what all the fuss is about. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, look, it's falling down.
Quality.
So there was a waste of time taking us to see various sites.
Falling on deaf ears. Graham Brunstrom on Twitter is asking, how did you miss that sitter that Big Al laid on a plate for you against United at Old Trafford?
I'll tell you, Big Al went through. Right, they all used to run up, and Stupid ran towards our goal with them to play myself onside, and he chipped it over the top and ran after it. And I tell you, he sold more dummies than Mothercare. He got up to Gary Bailey, and Gary Bailey ran back the way and towards his goal. And I tell you, I thought there was 3 posts there, one either side, and Gary Bailey. All he had to do was hit it in target, and it was a goal. And he went like that, and I thought, I'm getting this. So I stepped forward, and he checked. So I've gone offside, and he knocked it behind. By this time, about 2 yards out, right in front of his Stretford end. And I pulled my leg back to, like, knock it in. I knocked it past.
So it's Alan's fault. Is that what you long way of saying?
No,
I got that. Yeah,
it couldn't just one of them things.
Aye, couldn't he? If he'd have just laid it in, or if he'd have shot himself, and the wee linesman standing like that with the flag up, and I went, "Aye, you're right."
It was like Shaggy, wasn't me.
Okay. Derek Hennessy, which is D Hennessy 75 on Twitter. Who was the one player you tried signing for Liverpool but couldn't get it over the line that you wish would have got over the line?
The most hurtful one wasn't for the club's point of view. I think it would be for the players' point of view. Derek Statham, who played left back for West Brom and also played for England. He failed the fitness. He failed a medical when he came up on his ankle, and you had to tell him that, I'm sorry, the deal can't go through because there's a medical failed. I mean, how would you feel if that was you?
Yeah.
But it's bad enough telling the guy. So he must have felt 10 times worse than I did. But that was for me, that'd have been the thing. No, well, not that the boy, I mean, Burrows came in after that, and he didn't do badly for us. He was as good as gold. But you've got to be a wee bit sympathetic, haven't you, and compassionate. Somebody knows, you don't sign somebody because he's injured, and then he's got to go back to his club and play.
Did he have a career after that? Was his ankle?
Yeah.
Okay?
I think so, aye.
Fakir, still playing.
Still playing, yeah. Not, I mean, that's still a mystery. That was to do with his. I read an article about that. It was to do with his agent wanting more money at the last minute. His brother.
Who was that?
Fekir, Nabil Fekir. Liverpool were. I mean, there's a picture of him in a Liverpool shirt. That's how at Melwood. That's how close he came. But then something happened with his agent, which is his brother, I believe, and he asked for more money right at the death, and Liverpool went there.
But the official line was he failed.
The official line was that he failed the medical, but he didn't because he's played. He's not. I don't even think he's had a bad injury since. So, mad. Okay, this is an interesting one. So, a guy called Stellin34 on Twitter. Did you know Hannes Friedrich from Borussia Mönchengladbach only had one eye, and did you take advantage of it?
Well, you've got to take advantage of it, haven't you? As best you could. But I played against him. He was a centre-back. And he did. He won an eye. I don't know what happened to the boy. But obviously, when he was younger, he lost an eye. But he still reached international level.
Right.
I think he played for Germany.
Wow.
Did he have a glass eye? Did he have a glass eye?
I'll never get that close, Paul.
Oh, was it like that, or was it a?
No, it was open.
Right.
Right. It's really good. Yeah.
It was a plastic one, I think. But
he had a feet.
Yeah, you did take advantage of it. And it must be difficult. I mean, you need to turn yourself. To see there, you need to turn yourself right around like that to see the good eye, don't you?
If he played international level, though, he must have coped with it quite well, because not many people would have got the better of him if he played international level. But
no, it was admirable for him to do so well. To do so well with something that was obviously no easy to handle. He was a good player as well.
Okay. Hooksy Music, who would your fantasy golf 4-ball be, and what course would it be on?
Fantasy 4-ball. I wouldn't go for somebody that you think would be a good laugh. When you know the best players. But it's obviously people that can play. A 4-ball.
Don't think we're
Tommy Fleetwood, maybe.
Okay.
He'd be good company. Rory McIlroy.
So you wouldn't go for Muhammad Ali or anything like that, no?
What?
You wouldn't go for Muhammad Ali or anyone like that, no?
I thought they were talking about golfers.
No, he's talking about fantasy. So he basically, you can have a 4-ball of you and 3 people, and it can be anyone in history. Who would you like to have a round of golf with and a chat? And
he picked a Blue Nose and a United fan.
No.
I'm just making you
I'm
just making
the tournament. Yeah.
Listen, if you're that caught up with it, I would take Tiger Woods, and him and I will beat the two of them. No, somebody that you would enjoy playing with. It must be golfers, surely. You must take.
No. I think he means anyone. There's a similar question. Who would you go for dinner with 4 people? You know, the same sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, but they're saying golf.
Yeah.
So if you go to golf, you want to win, don't you?
Yeah.
So why don't you pick someone that's good and 2 Muppets, me and Gav? You know what I mean? So you could pick whoever you wanted and play.
I don't want it to be an annihilation. That would be an annihilation.
Do you remember that time when we beat your dad and my dad?
Yeah.
Your dad was raging.
Wasn't happy.
Yeah. And you know what? That was the only time. And that was your dad's fault. Your dad.
Oh, Dad, my poor dad. Do you remember me beating you in La Manga, by the way? You always say that I didn't, but I did. You won't give me it, will you?
No.
You missed a 6-footer on the last. I don't know where you were. You hung over or something. You missed a 6-footer on the last for a half. No? Not having it.
I probably must have been getting a bundle of shots.
You know what?
Yeah. You must have been getting some amount of shots, by the way.
No, we played off level.
Unbelievable. So it's
right. Let's crack through these questions, okay? If you could pick one player you managed and give them to Jurgen Klopp, who would it be and why?
I mean, first of all, I wouldn't make a decision for Jurgen. Why would I make anybody's decision? He's got good enough players, and he's just signed a good one as well. Another one for Porto. So I don't know what players he would be looking for.
Okay.
He's the same as everybody else. He looks back over the history of the football club and look at the players, and he could pick one himself, couldn't he? Yeah. So I wouldn't like to put words into his mouth. Okay. Maybe pick me.
I'm sure
substitute.
I'm sure he would. Question from Sam Cactus Jack. What made you play for Liverpool? What made you sign for Liverpool?
Well, I'd been at Liverpool when I was 15. And Shanks and Ruben Bennett took me back to the YMCA at Mount Pleasant after the game and said that, look, we'd like to sign you. We'll send the scout up to your mum and dad's house. And they came up, and I didn't want to leave home, really. 15 was a long time. And we found some paperwork the other day there. And one of the questions when I was 15 or 16 was, if you had to move away from home for your work, would you do it? And I said no.
Right.
At the time. And Marina dug it out somewhere yesterday. So when I came down, it was brilliant. The way that you were accepted, and you were only on trial. And you got on the old bus that took you from Anfield down to Melwood, and the first team are on the bus, the reserves are on the bus, the apprentices, everybody, the coaches, and it was just brilliant. It was a really good laugh, really good atmosphere. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic here. So as I grew up, you always kept your eye on what was going on. And when I was moving, I just hoped that Liverpool would come in and ask us. Unfortunately for me, they did.
If you're enjoying this video so far, please show your support for the Ken7 channel by clicking the subscribe button, the like button, and also clicking the bell for future notifications. If you could also share the video on your Twitter and Facebook account, that will show YouTube's algorithm that you like our content. Do you know about Ken7 merchandise? The link is in the description of this video. We have premium fanwear for fans covering Liverpool, Celtic and Scotland, and it's fanwear for young and old, so we have t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, caps, mugs, you name it, we've got it. Just something else to remember, every purchase that is made on our website, we donate to the Marina Dalgilsh appeal, so you're helping a great cause as well. Okay, Yash Atare, which is Yas SG8. What mental challenges have you faced as a manager that you've never faced as a player?
Picking a team.
Right.
That's the hardest thing. To see somebody's face, or if you feel the pain for somebody when you have to leave them out, but what can you do? You're only allowed 11. And you want to be happy on a Saturday night when you've worked all week to try and get a positive result. The same as the players, and you don't do it for spite. You do it because you think you're right, and when you're unable to do that, you're going to struggle.
Do you find that a difficult part of the job as well?
Yeah, but I always tell them why, and whether they agree with you or whether they don't, they deserve to have a reason. And I know other people have a different viewpoint. We've discussed this before about when you do that as well, whether you do it the day before or whether you do it the day of the game. But I always think that as long as you're honest and you give good and bad news, then that's the way to do it. But I'd always tell them why. But it's not easy. But I tell you, I'll tell you now, I worked in youth sports, and I tell you, picking a team, these guys are getting paid, right? These guys are getting paid. And they understand when they sign up to play football that, yeah, it hurts, but they understand that on a Saturday, only 11 people get picked. The worst thing I've ever done in football was telling a kid that they'd not made the team because the emotion that comes out of kids, they're playing for free for the love of it, or they've not made the top team, or they've only made the second. Oh, that seeing kids' faces is much harder than seeing grown men's.
But that's worse also when it comes to the kids. When you're professional.
Yeah, when you're released.
Or in the academy. Oh.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's worse than naming a team for me.
And it's at this age, right, in the age groups, they can only have them for 6 weeks. And then I think they've got to let them go and bring another group in for 6 weeks. But at some stage, they're going to have to make a decision. I mean, imagine being a wee kid, 6, 7, 8 years of age, and they're saying, no, we don't want you.
Well, I remember that feeling, getting the letter from Melwood saying that I wasn't going to get signed at 14. And it was that killed me. I didn't really play football after that. I didn't think there was any point. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's really hurtful.
Yeah.
It was the right decision, though.
Moving on. Matthew Leslie, what was the best goal you scored for Scotland?
Maybe against Spain. We beat them 3-1 at Hampden in the European or World Cup qualifier. We beat them 3-1.
Is that the one where you're on the far side as the camera looks at it and you turn and jink round, and then it was almost like I was going to say a bit like a Mo Salah goal actually, but it was a Kenny Dalgilsh goal.
It was my left foot as well. Was it? All right.
I think that was if you watch this, there's a podcast where we talk through some of Kenny's goals, and I think that one's on there. So there we go.
I would have thought so, Gav.
Was it?
Some of these are quite repetitive of ones.
No. I've got rid of the repetitive ones.
You got rid of one?
I've got rid of the. Moving on. Which one's your best golf shot?
Well, I've had 2 holes in one.
Oh, well,
that must be the best shots.
Definitely. Why Robert Hindle? Sorry, that was the syrup. That was the last one. Robert Hindle was, why did you let John Aldridge leave?
Well, Russie just come back. When he played with Aldo for 6 months or something, they threw him up front, and Aldo had been absolutely brilliant. When we signed him, wait a minute, 85, 86, was it 86, 87, we won nothing. We signed John in January, I think, 87, and he was the first one in the door. John Barnes came in, Peter Beardsley came in, Ray Houghton came in. And Aldo was, Paul goes on about John Barnes, and he was absolutely fantastic, John Barnes. But Peter was brilliant as well. And John Aldridge was an absolute ideal fit for them, because it's no easy to get yourself in a position to get the ball off them and put it in the back of the net. But by the way, he was a master at it. So he was getting on a wee bit at Liverpool, and I thought, to be fair to him, I thought it would be right to give him the opportunity to go. And that's why, because his feelings and relationships and what he did for the football club, that's why I put him on it against Crystal Palace to take a penalty kick, his last game at the Kop. So, it was done with a heavy heart, but I thought I was doing him a favour, because he was going to play for Real Sociedad, he was going to get a game, plus he would be getting some financial compensation as well. But that wasn't, it wasn't a case where you wanted to go because there was anything wrong, or because he hadn't done anything. He was brilliant that year when they were playing. He was brilliant.
There was also a different generation.
Rotation.
You didn't have a squad.
Yeah.
You didn't have a squad of players then. You had a few players that would play parts if someone got injured, but you normally played the same 11 as often as possible in all the games.
So you weren't going to get a game.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Try to be fair.
Kevin Miller and Alex Watto, 99. Who from the current Liverpool squad would you have most liked in the Liverpool squad you had?
I was very happy with the squad we had. And you can't just pick the 11 best players out and think that's going to be the best team. It's got to be
balanced.
It's got to be managed, and there's got to be compliments around each other. You've got to compliment what somebody else does. And as long as you're paying tribute to the people who might not be getting as many headlines as yourself, then they're quite happy with that. They know, the boys know that they're no a Mo Salah or Mane or Firmino. But as long as you're getting the appreciation for the manager on the pitch, that's the most important thing. And it's difficult. I mean, there's great players there now, but there's been great players that they would have to have put out, and they might not have been as successful in the older teams than what they are now.
Okay.
So
I think we're on to the Instagram questions now. So there's only a few more, Kenny. So Sammy Lopez, which is Texas Cubby, who she's hello Sammy, she's lovely. She always messages us. Did you ever want to manage Scotland?
No,
never. What is it about that you don't fancy?
Pardon? Do you want me to put? There's no light, is there?
No.
What was it? The Toffee Crisp advert? Is that what it's like? Do you remember the Toffee Crisp advert? Somebody somewhere now. Toffee Crisp.
No, I never.
Is there something about that the international job that you wouldn't fancy? Is it not?
No, you can't sign players, can you?
Right.
You're only birthright. It's difficult. It's a difficult job.
You like the date.
I mean, the population's only, like Scotland, the population's about 5 million. So half that takes it 2.5, say it's 2.5 million male. But many of them are of the age that are going to be able to play for you. So it gets narrower and narrower. And Steve Clark, he's done an unbelievable job since he's gone in. But I wouldn't have been attracted by that, no. I love playing for my country, but to manage it wasn't one of the things that was on my bucket list.
Were you ever offered it?
No.
Okay.
No.
So there's quite a few people have asked this question. Scott Elliott, Shane Downey, and Barry O'Fay, I think you pronounce it. Out of all the highs of your career, what was the best moment as a player and your best moment as a manager?
I think as a player, it's important that when you start, you get off to a good start. And at Celtic, when I was getting into the first team, we had an Old Firm game at Ibrox. And we were winning 1-0 and we got a penalty kick. And the captain says, "You take it." I went, "You winding me up?" This is my debut, so I took it and scored, which I think was important, because if you'd missed it, doesn't matter if you still have won 1-0, but if you'd missed it, you could have been asking yourself some questions, and the club could have been asking some questions of you as well. And the same when it came to Liverpool. The first game at the Kop against Newcastle, I scored in the Kop end. So for me, I think that was important to go off to a good start. We played at Middlesbrough the first game and drew 1 each, and I tapped 1 in. But I think to score at home, especially at the Kop end, I think that gives you a good start to your life. So I think both the goals were hugely important for the clubs that I played with. Certainly playing for Celtic at that time and then coming to Liverpool. And I think it gets you up and running. It's not going to get you through 4 or 5 years, but it gets you up and running, gives you a bit more confidence, and the punters can see, oh, maybe he's no bad. So it was good for me.
What about as a manager?
There's always a game somewhere along the line when you've been successful in a season. I think when we won the double, 85, 86, I mean, we were out of bounds. We were like 13 games to go. We won 12 and drew 1 and won the league. Everton lost at Oxford, I think, 1-0. And we went 12 in a draw.
Was the Tottenham game a crucial one in that? There was a Tottenham away game which Big Jan scored and I think Paul Walsh scored.
And it was a frozen pitch.
Frozen pitch, yeah.
Yeah, but every game's important.
Yeah.
Isn't it? If you're going to run, if you're chasing somebody and you're going to run for it, then at Wembley the week after, Everton were the better side in the first half. But we only 45 minutes left of a season. So don't come off the pitch feeling sorry for yourself. 3-1.
Yep. Game's
a bogey. That's us moving onwards and upwards.
Of course. Red Sporak on Instagram. How did you feel on your return to Anfield the second time round? Did it feel different?
It was a bit emotional, really. Going to Old Trafford in the cup on the Sunday. I only came back on the Saturday night, so the boys were all prepared and looked after wee Sammy, and the team was picked. Just went and they said, "Are you going to come with us?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm coming down the bench." I said, "Listen, if we're in it, we're all in it together. So I'm coming on the bench. I'll be there." And when we got to, I think we played Man U sometime in that season, and we beat them at home, and it was my birthday, and the Klopp were singing "Happy Birthday." Oh, that was worth everything.
Right. Okay. Actually, let me ask you. I mean, what was it like for you for your dad to have to go back to Anfield? I mean, how did that make you feel?
Trying to get a job. He never gave me one. I said, "You want my resume?" He goes, "No."
You're all
no,
right.
yeah.
Believe it. Okay, we've just got a few more left now, Kenny. Finno Leary, 19. When did you realise that there was something special in Stevie G?
Paul told me. Paul used to come home then he used to train at Melwood when he was, 14.
No,
Stevie.
It was when I went back, when I went back from when I was 19.
Right, but what age was he?
He was 16.
16.
Yeah.
And he came back and said, "Dad, there's a boy there. You want to see him?"
He was brilliant.
It was brilliant. At 16, it was
we used to train. So the 18, I'd come back, and so the A and the B team would play your games on a Saturday morning. So the A team was a mix of reserves and youth team players, and then the B team was the younger ones. So what we used to do is on a Friday morning, we'd just play 5-a-sides just to get ready for the game. But you'd mix up the A and the B team, and we'd all train together. And Stephen had a lot of injury problems when he was
growing problems.
Yeah. So I was there, and obviously Michael Owen had starred in the Youth Cup for Liverpool, so you knew who Michael was, and then had obviously grown up with Cara, Davy Thompson. I knew all these. So these are all people. Jamie Cassidy. I knew all these people. I didn't know Stephen, and we trained one day, and he was 16. I was 19, and it was just he was brilliant, just absolutely brilliant at 16, and then. He got fast tracked so quick. Rightly so. He was incredible and played reserve games, and he just had absolutely everything at a young age. He was everything He was just like a more aggressive version of what you remember when he was 16. I had everything.
Wow.
Everything.
Wow. Okay, next one. OSS1ANJ. Quick fire question, Kenny. For you, would you prefer to win the World Cup or win the Champions League?
Well, I've got to be a wee bit realistic. I was fortunate enough to win the Champions League. I know how good it is, right? So if it meant, and I'm sure it would mean the same winning the World Cup, but I don't know. You better, if you can just win either of the two, by the way, you're a lucky person.
Okay.
I mean, it's a totally different thing, isn't it? It's club versus country.
I've always thought international football is dictated by your place of birth, whereas the Champions League is the best against the best. It's the best in the world against the best in the world. Yeah. And for me, I think it's a bigger honour to win, or it's a bigger achievement to win the Champions League than it is to win the World Cup. Because no matter where you're born in the world, you have the opportunity to play in the Champions League. There are world-class players that have never had any chance of winning a World Cup.
Yeah.
But I do think, though, if you look at, I think winning a World Cup, if this is, and the question was for you, but if I was to just think about it logically, I think winning a World Cup with Scotland is a bigger achievement than winning the Champions League with Liverpool.
Oh, it's a bigger achievement. Yeah. But if you're playing for Liverpool, or back in the 60s, right, at Celtic, who won one European Cup final and get beaten in the final with Feyenoord. Yeah. By the way, it was a possibility then for them to win the Champions League, or the European Cup as it was called. For your nation to have won it, being small like Scotland, that would have been an unbelievable achievement. To qualify was a great achievement, is a great achievement. And if you'd have won it, by the way, we'd still be going around Glasgow with the trophy now.
You thought, you genuinely thought, or the nation definitely thought that in 78 there was a chance. The team...
we did a lap of honour before we left.
Brilliant. Okay. Robbie Richards, Eves on Tracy, Liverpool Forever 1892, and Ian West. I think we've covered some of this one, but the one thing we haven't covered on this question is, who was the best player you ever played against?
Well, we played against Scotland, played Argentina in a friendly one summer, and Maradona was playing.
Well,
that Hampden.
Aye.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. He was only about 19. He was unbelievable. It was worthwhile coming back for, I think we were away with the club, Tel Aviv or somewhere, for some end of season games. It was worthwhile to come back for there to see him play. And by the way, we did watch most of the game as well, although we were playing.
The Big Al spoke to me about this. He said that Maradona was doing some juggling before the game, in the warm-up. He was kicking the ball like 50 feet in the air and then kicking it up in the air again. And Big Al said he was trying to warm up, but he couldn't take his eyes.
Well, Al never used to go out for warm-ups. He stayed in the dressing room.
Who?
Big Al.
Well, he definitely said he saw it.
When he was at Liverpool, he never even went out. He had a bath.
It was his warm-up.
Read the programme.
Yeah. the least amount of running possible.
No, he was fantastic. And also when we were at Celtic, we went to America end of season tour. We played Man U, and George Best was playing. I was only 18 or something. I started the game. Only lasted the first half. He was unbelievable.
He had some nice words to say about you, actually. He said that he put you on the same level as Puskas. I think.
Di Stefano.
Oh no, Di Stefano. Di Stefano. Yeah.
Yeah. Di Stefano's about 20 years older than me.
Okay. Royal Samurai, where did you get the nickname King?
I don't know.
It was originally Joking.
Was it?
Joking. Yeah. Very good. And then he changed it himself, you know. That was
Paul's banter's not changed since he was 17, by the way.
No.
Still not funny.
Neither is your reaction. You still get stopped in. But it must have been, maybe it was newspapers or something. I don't know.
Okay. Did you get called King from the other players?
No.
No.
Golden Balls.
Golden Balls. Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Aye. Dogs was one.
Yeah.
They're not Golden Balls. Dogs bollocks. That was
Dogs.
it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think finally,
on that happy note.
Finally, I think what's your favourite ever moment of being involved with Liverpool? This is Jaden Meehan 61.
I don't know how you cut the career that I've had at Liverpool into one moment. There was so many of them. I couldn't. Every time you won something, it was unbelievable. And I think the greatest moment, or the greatest thing for me was whilst we were winning in Celtic and Glasgow and Rangers would be on, you couldn't do a tour of the city because they were afraid of some trouble. Whereas here, everybody did the tour of the city. And that, for me, that just put the icing on the cake when you won something. You had the tour of the city to look forward to.
And get to share it with the people.
Aye. And we were lucky. We did it a few times. And to pick out one moment, I think that for me.
Do you remember any of them?
It would be impossible because the tour of the city is something that you share it with everybody, and that's the way the football club's been built. It's been built on people, the community being hugely important to the club, and the players lifting the community if they're having a hard time. I mean, you go way back to the days when they used to, on a Monday, if Liverpool won, the workers would all be at work. They'd all be in on Monday morning. If you get beat, no, there was a huge increase in absenteeism. And it's a fact. The same with Everton. It's a fact. And I don't know, it's just to have been a part of the football club has been a fantastic career for myself, and everything that you've got, everything that you've done, all the success you've had has all been shared equally amongst every faction in the football club, and that's the only way the football club can survive, and that's the way going forward. While they continue, as long as you continue with that attitude, you'll be successful.
I think that's a good note to end on, don't you? Yeah.
What was that? Over an hour with him? I just saw him this morning.
Yeah, Gavin, he phoned in Saturday and said, "I'm coming over." I said, "You're coming over where?" He said, "I'm going to catch a plane. I'm coming over." He thinks we'd be happy with that.
Roll out the red carpet. There was no red carpet when he got there, was there?
No.
The prodigal son and all that.
No, they went out.
You got home to
it. They said, if you're coming back, we're going to Spain.
Well, listen, gents, thank you very, very much for your time. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Kenny, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. Paul, thanks for giving me being my wingman.
Yeah,
once again.
It was
further back though.
Why?
I don't know. I'll watch you.
No, you sat there. That was not my choice anyway.
Oh. It was pleasant that somebody else asked the questions, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It makes up for a good show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like Gavin's running the mill things. No
generic.
Hey, listen, I remember you praising me after my first performance. You said it was a good debut. Have I just gone downhill since then?
But we were just trying to give you a wee bit confidence.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kenny. Paul, thank you very much.
All the best.
Cheers. Thanks.